Quarterback. The quarterback is the leader of the offense and the most pivotal player on the field. They receive the snap from the center and decide whether to pass, hand off, or run the ball. Their primary purpose is to orchestrate the offense, make strategic decisions, and execute plays effectively. And since they are more or less the de facto captain of the team, the quarterback often must deal with the most scrutiny when times are rough. Nobody in history has performed better at quarterback than Tom Brady, a player who was able to win 7 Super Bowls and throw 649 touchdowns in his career. But some notable names of the current NFL include Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. While Allen, Mahomes, and Jackson often perform well above league average, it can be expected that a middle-of-the-pack to good starting quarterback will throw for 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and around 12 or less interceptions. Running back. The running back is the primary ball carrier of the offense. They line up behind or beside the quarterback and are responsible for running with the ball, catching passes, and blocking when necessary. Their main purpose is to advance the ball on the ground and provide versatility in offensive schemes. And since running the ball is the best way to control the clock, a ground and pound offense with a bull in the backfield like the Eagles and Saquon Barkley have a huge advantage compared to other teams with the committee. A couple of running back GOATs include Emmitt Smith, who holds the record for all-time rushing yards at 18,355, Barry Sanders, who juked his way to over 1,000 yards in 10 straight seasons, and LaDainian Tomlinson, who once scored 31 touchdowns in a single year. Fullback. The fullback is a versatile player who primarily serves as a lead blocker for the running back. And while they have become a less important position in the modern NFL, they can still make a big impact in the rare few chances they get to carry the ball. Like their name of fullback suggests, the men in this position are often built like a refrigerator with legs. So when they're asked to gain 1 or 2 yards in a goal line or 4th and 1 situation, the entire game can rest on their shoulders. Having a good fullback is definitely not a necessity in this day and age, especially with the effectiveness of QB sneaks rising, but having a good one can still provide an instant fire starter for a struggling offense, which makes a player like Taysom Hill or retired fullbacks like Jim Brown and Jim Taylor extremely valuable. While fullbacks may not get a lot of attention, their contributions are measured by successful blocks and short yardage conversions, and in a sport where every inch counts, this position cannot be slept on. Wide receiver. Wide receivers are the primary pass-catching players on the offense. They line up near the sidelines and run precise routes to create separation from defenders to try and be as open as possible for passes thrown from the quarterback. A top-tier wide receiver can stretch the field, exploit defensive coverages, and ultimately score touchdowns from anywhere. And while some of them have a tendency to be divas, their ability to catch balls one-handed, behind their backs, or even on their helmets is nothing short of extraordinary. Jerry Rice is widely regarded as the greatest wide receiver in NFL history, holding the record for career receiving yards at 22,895, career receptions at 1,549, and touchdown receptions at 197. But some current players that are still tearing it up include Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Center. The center is the anchor of the offensive line. They're responsible for snapping the ball to start the play and then immediately switching objectives to blocking any and all defensive trucks rushing towards their beloved quarterback. Centers are also in charge of reading defensive alignments at the line to make quick adjustments for better QB protection, making the center often the lineman with the highest football IQ. Some notable centers include Mike Webster, Jason Kelce, and Jim Otto, who are generally considered to be a few of the greatest centers of all time. While centers don't accumulate traditional statistics like other offensive players, their effectiveness can be measured by the lack of quarterback pressures from the defense, the amount of sacks allowed, and the frequency of holding penalties the center receives. Jim Otto was so dominant at center during his tenure that he played in 6 title games, 12 Pro Bowls, and survived 37 football injuries while still managing to start in 210 consecutive games. Talk about being the center of a team's success. Guard. Guards line up on either side of the center and are crucial in both pass protection and run blocking. Their primary purpose is to create running lanes for the running back and protect the quarterback from interior pass rushers, but to do so is much easier said than done. They must be agile to pull and block defenders on the move, but also rigid like a plank of wood to prevent any pass rushers from getting through. Interestingly, guards often face the most powerful defensive players because they normally match up with the largest defensive tackles the other team has to offer. John Hamm Montana, Gene Upshaw, and Larry Allen are all legendary guards known for their strength and dominance on the offensive line. And Larry Allen was once even recorded bench pressing 700 pounds. Tackle. Tackles are positioned on the outer edge of the offensive line next to the guards, and are tasked with protecting the quarterback down to their last breath. The left tackle, in particular, protects a righty quarterback's blind side, which makes their performance a critical factor in the quarterback's health and the team's success. This is often why left tackles are among the highest paid players on the offensive line. Joe Thomas, Jonathan Ogden, and Jim Parker are considered a few of the greatest tackles in NFL history, all known for their effectiveness in protecting the quarterback and facilitating long run plays. But none were better than the brick wall, 6'6" and 270 pounds Anthony Munoz, who in one 10-season stretch received 9 number 1 All-Pro selections. Tight end. Tight ends are hybrid players who serve as both blockers and receivers. They line up next to the tackles and can be used in various offensive roles like George Kittle on the 49ers. Their purpose is to provide versatility, create mismatches, and if possible, score. Interestingly, since the position requires mastery of both offensive line techniques and receiving skills, they are often the most dynamic offensive player on the field. Tony Gonzalez revolutionized the tight end position with his receiving prowess, catching the most balls for a tight end all time at 1,325. And while Shannon Sharpe, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Gates were not able to top Tony in catch totals, they all made an indelible mark on the tight end position during their careers. Defensive tackle. Defensive tackles are central figures on the defensive line, responsible for both stopping the run and pressuring the quarterback. They line up opposite the offensive guards in center, and their purpose is to disrupt the offensive backfield in any way possible by any means possible. Mean Joe Green was one of the most dominant defensive tackles to ever do it, and his interception of Fran Tarkenton will forever go down as an all-time great Super Bowl moment. Some other legends include Warren Sapp, Bob Lilly, and Randy White, all known for the ability to knock the daylights out of opposing running backs while simultaneously causing multiple quarterback pressures a game like it was nothing. In fact, Bob Lilly was so dominant and durable that he started every single game in his 14-year career 196 consecutive games. Defensive end. Defensive ends line up on the edges of the defensive line and are primarily responsible for rushing the passer and containing outside runs. Their purpose is to apply pressure on the quarterback and prevent plays from reaching the sidelines, something Reggie White was especially known for as the Minister of Defense. He was a legendary defensive end with the most sacks all time at 198. But some other epic hard hitters include J.J. Watt, Doug Atkins, and Deacon Jones, who all likely appeared in quarterbacks' nightmares during their careers. Middle linebacker. The middle linebacker is the leader of the backfield and is often referred to as the quarterback of the defense. They're responsible for calling defensive plays, stopping the run, and covering short to intermediate passes. But more importantly, their purpose is to coordinate the defense so they're able to react swiftly to any offensive changes. Ray Lewis is a renowned middle linebacker, known for his leadership, tackling ability, and incredible hype speeches before games. He ended his career as the only NFL player with over 40 sacks and 30 interceptions. His skill may only be topped by Lawrence Taylor, who once got 20.5 sacks in a single season and became only the second defensive player to ever win MVP in 1986. He was also referred to by Bill Belichick as the greatest football player he has ever seen. Outside linebacker. Outside linebackers are the Swiss Army knives of the defense. Depending on the scheme, they might blitz off the edge, drop into coverage, or play sideline to sideline like caffeinated gazelles. But their purpose is always the same: wreck plays before they start. Modern beasts like TJ Watt and Micah Parsons have turned being an outside linebacker into an art form. Watt led the league in sacks in 2021 with 22.5, tying the all-time single-season record, while Parsons became the first player in Cowboys history to record 13-plus sacks in each of his first 2 seasons. They're built to do it all: rush the passer, guard tight ends, and blow up screens before they leave the quarterback's hands. Even though it's not a glamorous job, when done right, outside linebackers can single-handedly swing entire games. Cornerback. Cornerbacks come in much smaller sizes compared to their linebacker and defensive line counterparts, but they make up for it through speed and agility that allows them to stick to their targeted wide receivers like white on rice. Their job is to blanket pass catchers, break up throws, and grab interceptions when a QB gets too bold. And nobody did that better than Deion Primetime Sanders, who snagged 53 career interceptions and danced his way all the way into 2 Super Bowl rings during his time in the league. Great cornerbacks don't just make interceptions though. They erase entire portions of the field from the quarterback's vision. And the best at that was none other than prime Darrelle Revis. Revis was cold, calculated, and Revis Island was where receivers went to disappear. When in 2009, he held stars like Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, and Terrell Owens to under 35 yards combined. Safety. Safeties are the last line of defense, the PPE of the backfield per se. But to lock down the offense properly, they are usually split into 2 types: free safeties and strong safeties. On one hand, free safeties patrol the backfield like a hawk, ready to snag deep balls when the quarterback least expects it. And on the other, strong safeties stand closer to the line, waiting to hit like a truck if given the opportunity and rush support. Overall, their purpose is simple: clean up whatever mess the front 7 makes. And the best janitor in the backfield was likely Ed Reed, a player who had 646 tackles in only 174 games and holds the all-time record for interception return yards at 1,590. Punter. Punters are the forgotten eldest child of a football team. Their job is rarely talked about when they do well, but always talked about if they do poorly. And their entrance onto the field is a constant reminder to everyone that the team's offense is stalling. Their job is to kick the ball as close as they can to the other team's end zone when possession is exchanged, and ideally pin the opponent deep in their own territory. A goal that requires a ton of skill and also precise coordination with the special teams players. Ray Guy was the GOAT of punting, with hang time so legendary that an award was named after him. And he remains the only punter in the Hall of Fame to this day. Kicker. The kicker has one job: split the uprights. It sounds simple in theory. That is until you are asked to kick a 52-yarder in a blizzard with the game on the line and 70,000 fans ready to send you death threats if you fail. Kickers score more points than any other position and are often the unsung heroes or villains of the team, depending on how the ball flies. Justin Tucker was the gold standard of kickers, hitting 66-yard game winners like he was playing Madden with cheat codes, and maintaining a field goal percentage in the high 90s for many consecutive seasons. Field goal percentage and total points are the key statistics for kickers, but to be honest, none of that really matters because everyone only remembers whether you made the kick when it mattered or if you didn't. Long snapper. The long snapper is the team specialist who throws the ball 7 to 8 yards between their legs perfectly to the punter and kicker's hands every time. While a skillful task, they don't get talked about much unless something goes horribly wrong, in which case the whole world suddenly knows their name. They must be precise, have nerves of steel, and a complete lack of ego to succeed. And since they play only 7 to 10 snaps per game, being perfect every time is a must. Most people couldn't name a single long snapper, but that's kind of the point. If you do know your long snapper's name, then something probably went horribly wrong for your team. Punt returner. The punt returner is the brave soul who stands back, eyes skyward, as an entire defense charges toward him like a stampede. Their job is to catch the ball, which is much harder than it looks, and take it as far as they can without being decapitated. Devin Hester redefined the position, scoring 14 punt return touchdowns and earning the title of the greatest return man ever during his career. But for a normal team with an average returner, anything over 10 yards per return and the occasional trip down the field to the house is more than enough. Backups. Backups are the NFL's version of understudies, ready to go in at a moment's notice, but usually just vibing on the bench with a headset and clipboard. Their job is to be one heartbeat away from the field, study the playbook like it's the SATs, and seamlessly step in during starting QB tragedies without missing a beat. Some, like Nick Foles, become legends by showing up when it mattered most, but others, like Zach Wilson, became NFL laughingstocks because of their awful starting position collapses that led to becoming a backup in the first place. Either way, they're the insurance policy you hope you never need, especially if you're a Jets fan. Fans. Fans aren't technically a position, but good luck finding a more passionate, superstitious, and emotionally unstable group in sports. They're the ones painting their faces, freezing in sub-zero temperatures, and screaming on third downs like the team can actually hear them. Their purpose? To believe that through heartbreak, mediocrity, and the occasional miracle, that their team will succeed no matter how many times they have proven that they won't. And while fans might not wear helmets or even touch the ball, make no mistake, when it comes to loyalty, nobody brings the heat like the nearly 18 million fans that attend an NFL game each year.